Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off after capturing an Advent VIP in a mission that had its ups and downs, we ended the episode on the question of what to research next, and even though your comments were pretty divided on the subject, I think we have reached a decision.
I am ready to begin on your order, Commander.
The choice is still between Illyrium and Psionics, and I think we'll go with Illyrium first. The simple reason being that in order to actually get anything out of Psionics, we would need to build another facility, a facility no less that we want to construct on an exposed power coil, and there is absolutely no way we will be able to clear one in the 15 days it takes to complete this project.
The science is eager to begin, Commander.
So we might as well spend the time researching something that we can actually use afterwards, and so Illyrium it is, at least for the next 12 days. At this point, we can then start scanning. Last time we already begun scanning for an engineer, and for the next 4 days we want to continue doing so.
Commander, you should establish contact with the local resistance network as soon as possible. The aliens are undoubtedly moving forward with their plans.
Now a true test of your allies' devotion to the cause. Will they waver in the face of death?
Alright, we have suffered another Chosen retribution and our income in West Asia has been decreased. As you can see, the Chosen's knowledge level has also reached that fourth and final bar, so I would say it's high time that we finally take care of the assassin for good, and the hunter too, of course.
The Chosen are gonna do whatever it takes to get to you, Commander, even if that means wiping out entire camps of resistance supporters. We're their only line of defense.
And there we go, we have acquired another engineer, nice and easy, and with that we are joined by Dr. Clegane Shell, after the alias of the generous patron supporter who submitted him. Now, both in name as well as in appearance, Clegane here possesses a slight turtle likeness, and that is not by accident, as his biography actually references Master Uguay, who is known for his slow deliberate steps and thoughtful stares. He is also a vegetarian with a preference towards large leafy greens. Yum yum, leaves in my tum. So, Clegane Shell now joins us and will hopefully bring aboard those same qualities, and he will now actually start working on that aforementioned exposed power coil. We can only assign 2 people on this one, and with only 1 engineer it takes a grand total of 60 days to excavate, so even if we use the Skirmisher HQ, it will be some time before we can actually build anything here. Now at this point, as we hop back into the world map, we are going to make a quick stop at the black market.
Avenger plotting new course.
After the previous supply drop, the inventory has refreshed, and perhaps there is something valuable we can grab. We are, after all, swimming in intel.
Market is open.
Now, as always, the market has an interest in some of our items too, but I don't think we will part with any of them. Instead, let's take a look at the list of items and personnel that is available to us. In terms of personnel, then unfortunately just another scientist, no engineer or soldier. The research speed increases then are also not particularly interesting to us at the moment. However, I think we will be purchasing the 3 superior weapon attachments, as all 3 of them are actually quite useful in the right hands. The laser sight and stock, for example, would both work very well on our Ranger's shotguns, where we actually already have one such combination in place, albeit using lower level attachments. The superior expanded magazine, meanwhile, benefits all of those classes who shoot a lot, so your skirmishers, sharpshooters and perhaps even grenadiers, all 3 attachments together only cost us 80 intel, and I think that is a price well worth paying. Moving on then, I think we will grab ourselves some supplies for a change.
Avenger plotting new course.
We will be making a few purchases soon, especially once the proving ground is done, and we have a large pile of supplies still lying around here. Alright, or we are going to begin today's mission, as we have just received our 3 guerrilla ops targets. Up first we have West Africa, and immediately it looks like this is the one it's going to be. We absolutely need to counter the new construction dark event, otherwise the Avatar project could accelerate quite a bit faster than we can counter it. Getting another scientist out of it is definitely a lovely reward on top of that, especially compared to the other 2 missions here that are only offering intel or supplies. In addition, both the rapid response as well as the barrier dark event are not as dangerous as they might seem, and so I think we will be heading to West Africa, where the Show of Force sitrep is active too, which means we will once again be facing only Advent units, and, unless I'm mistaken, the Chosen Hunter, who is due for an appearance on this mission. And so this here is our squad for today, due to injuries and tiredness a bit lower level than usual, but we're making up for that by bringing Reaper, Templar and Skirmisher along, the latter of course particularly effective against the Hunter. Since we have a Templar with us, let us also spend 65 supplies and 10 alloys on the Tempest gauntlets, just so that Templar Logan can dish out a bit more damage in melee combat. Using the 2 superior grade weapon attachments we just purchased, we are then also going to outfit a brand new shotgun. Like I said, we already have one with the laser sight stock combination, and now we have 2, this one even better than the first one. And that's about it. Frostbomb and Medkit are on Specialist Zucchini. We are also not bringing a sharpshooter along. The mission type is Protect the Device, and that usually requires getting up close and personal.
In
position to drop.
Word has it the Resistance has been pulling data critical to the aliens' latest project from the Advent network using something they rigged up in this area. As far as we can tell, the aliens have figured out what's going on and they're sending reinforcements in to destroy the device. We're moving in to secure the area and protect the device before they manage to take it out. Hostile forces are already moving to destroy the data tap installed nearby. We need to lock down the area and secure the device at all costs. It looks like Advent is throwing every grunt they've got at us, Commander. They're flooding the area with troopers. We need to be ready for a fight.
Alright, here we are, once again tasked with protecting a data device. The mission type should be familiar. I think it was episode 20 when we last had a mission like this. So in short, our job is to eliminate all hostiles before they destroy the device.
My life is in your hands. You can never escape my sight. Patrol.
And to that end, we start scouting right away and immediately spot our first Advent patrol, this one featuring a heavy mech as well as what looks to be 2 advanced troopers.
I go where I'm needed. You cannot run.
As Dragonova moves up a bit further, we also spot an Advent watchtower. This could be interesting depending on what the hacking rewards are, although the hacking skills of Specialist Zucchini are not too advanced just yet, so we might have to temper our expectations.
I know where you are.
Alright, mech and troopers are moving away from us, that is definitely convenient. And we also catch a glimpse of the second enemy part here, which appears to consist entirely of troopers, who are now dealing the first 5 points of damage to our device. That device should have plenty more hit points though, so I think we can spend at least one more turn scouting here, especially since the mech part seems to be moving towards the device too, which might just open up an opportunity to hit 2 parts at once. And so another turn is spent undetected. Let's see what our enemies can come up with on theirs.
No one
Eyes on the prize.
Alright, and as expected, the group with the mech now moves towards the device and also takes aim at it. This also potentially frees up the trio of troopers who might have just moved. Let's get a bit closer here to assess the situation.
I must move quickly. You can never escape my sight. A patrol is upwind.
Right, so the 2 groups still some distance apart, and we also don't have line of sight with our device yet, which means we can't exactly tell how many hit points it has left, although it should of course be able to survive for at least a few more turns.
Got it. Hostile forces spotted.
Templar Logan then also spots another Advent patrol consisting of a trooper and a priest. Maybe they're moving towards the device too. Either way, as we slowly but steadily set things up for the ambush here, we should keep an eye on them. Also, considering the number of civilians in the area that could break our concealment, we have no other choice but to attack soon. At this point, it simply looks like we can't really move that much further.
Mir entgeht nicht.
Alright, so once again it is the mech taking aim at the device.
I know where you are.
And this time our 3 troopers actually move and catch up with the mech, which now presents us with an excellent opportunity for an ambush. And to make things even more convenient, the priest and trooper on the left side are also moving away from us, so I think this right here is the moment to strike. Before we do though, let's get Heliborus out of the way here, because as soon as we attack, those civilians will start scattering. That in turn would then have a high chance of revealing him, and I would like him to remain undetected a little while longer.
Verstanden. Rücke ab. Zielposition bestätigt. Menace 1-5, we've got a line on the target. Move to protect that gear at all costs.
At this point, the game then also officially recognizes our line of sight with the device. It appears though that we are not yet close enough to also learn about its hit points. Either way, here's how we're going to do this. We'll start things off with a Claymore from Reaper Dragonova, and we'll place it so that it hits the 4 enemies in the back, including the mech. Now, instead of blowing it up with her, we'll double down and launch a grenade with Nicholas too. That should then give us 4 guaranteed kills, leaving only 2 enemies standing.
Catch!
Alright, Dragonova has also earned the promotion to Captain, and we are indeed down to only 2 troopers, albeit both of them at full health. Still, this should be doable, so let's start things off with Specialist Zucchini, who has himself a lovely flanking shot here. Okay, critical hit for the instant kill. I actually had not expected that. It does make things even easier though. Following that, we can now tap the other trooper once with Mox from high ground. And to get the kill, we once again employ Dragonova, who is the only one with a guaranteed hit chance.
Return to your god.
And there we go, 6 enemies defeated in the span of just 1 turn, and we even have some actions left. So we can now put Mox and Helleborus into slightly better positions. Thankfully, the Priest and Trooper remain hidden for now, and so we'll end our turn with a Templar on Overwatch.
On Overwatch.
Savor the moment.
Alright, and no surprise, the Hunter is here. Probably a little too late, but who are we to complain?
It's looking like your last.
It's one of the Chosen. This mission just got a little more dangerous. Stay on top of its position and try to take it out. Deflection!
I will always find you.
I'll give you a sporting chance.
Right, so for now the Hunter is hidden in the shadows while the Priest and Trooper are now active. The Priest has also already suffered a little bit of damage, so this shouldn't be too difficult. The only issue might be range, as the targets are pretty far away from us, but luckily we can grapple Mox right between them and also deal some damage in the process.
You cannot run. Changing position. No tissue damage.
And following that, we can now take aim at the Priest, who is even further away and therefore more difficult to hit for the rest of the squad. So that's both targets softened up nicely, and we can now send our Templar against the Priest, although Logan here will not do enough damage to get the kill.
Hard target, minimal damage.
And indeed, that leaves the Priest standing with only 1 hit point, but we have a bloodthirsty specialist waiting in Zucchini who can now finish the job with combat protocol.
Always were a little uptight for my taste.
The Priest also drops some loot, a stock, a conditioning PCS and a hair trigger, and we have Templar Logan in a perfect position for the pickup.
Asset in tow.
Finally then, the last kill once again goes to Dragonova,
I am trusting you.
unless of course she misses the 97%er.
Volk says hello. I need more ammunition.
She does not, and with that I think we are down to only the Hunter, so remaining in stealth for as long as possible definitely had its advantages, as the Chosen will only show up once your squad is revealed. But with the Hunter now active, we end the turn with a parry and 2 overwatches. Let's see if we can already do some damage.
Fire shots. Come get some.
You can never escape my sight.
I had considered sparing XCOM once I took over this world, Commander. Unfortunately, our last encounter signed their death warrants.
You've got the Chosen in rage. Let's take it out. I've got help coming, Commander.
Right, the Chosen summons a stun lancer, and that's unfortunate, because they now soak up our reaction fire. Grenadier Nicholas makes the shot count though, so at least there's that.
¡Llegan enemigos por los lados!
I'm coming for you. Let's get this over with.
That all you got?
Damn it, one of our soldiers is down. They're vulnerable to the Chosen's attacks in that state. Get them back on their feet ASAP.
Okay, so Mox and Logan were close enough to each other to invite the grenade here. However, thanks to being in parry mode, Logan remains unaffected, but still our skirmisher is currently out, and he is our primary weapon against the hunter. Nonetheless, it's 6 against 2, so the action economy is well in our favor, a fact that we can use to get Mox back up on his feet.
On the move!
I bet that light show of yours is real impressive among these poor saps. Hey, Templar.
Get up and get back out there!
Right, so Mox is no longer dazed, but unfortunately only has one action left. That is until we give him another one, courtesy of bondmate Nicholas.
Together we are strong!
Nicholas himself, meanwhile, can then still launch his second grenade, which will remove the hunter's armor, drop them off the high ground and cause some fall damage too.
Bombs away!
Getting desperate.
And there we are, and now I think it is once again time for the Mox show.
A useful aid.
We can start with the free grapple to gain height advantage. And then we can use his new and also free whiplash action, normally only doing 6 points of damage, now boosted to 13 because of brittle and because he's a skirmisher.
A searing attack.
You're going to pay for that one, traitor.
So that's the hunter down to about half health, and Mox has officially not even used an action. Let's change that now and fire his weapon.
Don't think I'm going to let that slide, turncoat.
Alright, critical hit for 15 points of damage, and I think Mox can now finish the job.
I am the victor. Ammunition is low.
Once again, Mox defeats the hunter mostly by himself, and so the only enemy left at this point is an already injured stun lancer.
I'm beginning to understand why the Elders find you so interesting, Commander. Your little crew does present a challenge somehow.
Excellent work, Commander. We may not have put them down for good, but at the very least we've held off the Chosen for another day.
So, time to finish this. However, before we do, I have not forgotten about the Advent Watchtower, and off-screen I also checked already what we can get for hacking it.
Accediendo al sistema.
And I think this is something we want to do before we wrap up the mission. As you can see, there is a 78% chance to recover a small cache of alien alloys, and that strikes me as the sensible option compared to the 18% chance of grabbing a large cache. Keep in mind that the alternative would be to walk away with nothing, even though the map alert of course will no longer be a problem. And there we are, we have recovered some alloys, we'll see exactly how many at the end of the mission. Speaking of which, let us now finish the job with a melee strike from Templar Logan.
Possible intel located. Target eliminated.
Status confirmed. All hostiles are down and the area is secure. Status confirmed. Mission accomplished.
And there we are. No nasty surprises this time. I have to say this went pretty damn smoothly. The hunter was barely more than a nuisance on this mission. Still, I think it is a good idea to continue working towards taking them out for good. For today then, we can memorize another flawless victory with a lovely mission photo, and then head back to the base. Hopefully this time we have some promotions.
I would like to assure the citizens of Advent that our peacekeepers will stop at nothing to prevent further attacks by criminal elements such as the one that occurred today. The Elders have total faith in our ability to overcome any and all threats to our peace.
Maybe the Elders hoped the Chosen's constant jabbering would drive us to surrender without a fight.
Right, so we have promotions to take care of for Zucchini and Dragonova. And let's start with our specialist first, because this one is easy. I would like to build up Zucchini as a secondary combat hacker, similar to Van Dyke, and so Haywire Protocol is the obvious choice. Now with Dragonova, we once again have 3 skills to choose from, including another randomized XCOM skill. Up first, however, let's talk about Sting. This is a shot that can be used once per mission and is guaranteed to keep our Reaper in shadow mode, very useful to open combat encounters. However, at least for the moment, Dragonova does not really have any other abilities that would make her a good opener, but should we, for example, eventually grab some armor shredding, that might change. Another ability then is Soul Harvest, resulting in kill shots increasing her critical hit chance, and I have to admit that I'm not really a fan of this, not only because we need a grand total of 4 kills before the bonus actually reaches the maximum of 20 percentage points, but also because even with those 20 points there is still no way to actually guarantee critical hits for her, so I think it's best to not start building a character around those in the first place. And that brings us to Tactical Rigging, which I have to say is an extremely lucky pick, and yes, it is also the ability we're going with. The reason why this is so good is that Reapers don't actually get any item slots. You may have noticed that Dragonova is actually the only soldier in our entire squad who has not yet carried a grenade, and even the recently unlocked Predator armor does not change anything about that. This ability here meanwhile does, so let's grab it and move on. In terms of loot then, we also receive an expanded magazine and a focus PCS from that stun lancer we killed last. The alloy cache we hacked turns out to be just 10 alloys, but that is, for example, exactly what we paid for the Tempest gauntlets earlier, so it does have some value.
Considering the limited resources available to you, Commander, you have still managed to exceed my expectations. Excellent work.
And yes indeed, we have countered a dangerous dark event and ensured that we will survive this campaign for a little while longer. Not to mention that we have also recruited another scientist in Dr. Ryan Bishop, nickname Reaper, and submitted by patron supporter Ryan Turner. Born in the US in 1999, he is a former staff sergeant in the United States Air Force before the initial invasion, with multiple deployments to Afghanistan as a combat search and rescue operative with the 99th Air Assault. He always put the lives of others before himself and enjoyed the sense of purpose it gave him, no matter how dangerous the situation. However, one day when cycled off of duty rotation, the aliens had taken the one thing away from him he loved the most, his wife, Carol. Considered a goofball in his past, the loss hardened his resolve. He vowed that because he could not save her that day, he would do everything in his power to destroy Advent. A lovely biography, thank you so much Ryan, and by the way, if you want to submit your own character for this series, you can find a video linked on screen and down below explaining exactly how to do that. Now Ryan here joins our science department and we have a bit of time left, so I would say let's continue scanning. After all, completion of the Proving Ground is just around the corner, and just shortly after our next Covert Action. First of all, though, we receive another rumor. It is another facility lead, and I think I have already explained why I think these are not as attractive as they seem. So we will skip this one and instead grab those supplies.
Avenger plotting new course.
However, we only need 1 day's worth, and then we can continue to the Skirmisher HQ.
Avenger plotting new course.
Commander, the aliens continue to make progress on the Avatar project. If we're going to slow them down, we'll need to move fast.
And yes, the Avatar project is ticking along, but we have a spare contact in our pocket to do something about that should we want to.
The Proving Grounds are ready, Commander. We can build the Skulljack whenever you give the word.
Alright, and there we are. We have finally constructed the Proving Ground, so let us now take a quick tour through the new facility.
Welcome to the Proving Grounds, Commander. It seemed like a good idea to isolate some of our more experimental concepts, especially when it comes to weapons development.
And yes indeed, this is where we unlock some of the more experimental items in the game. Items such as the Skulljack, for example, which we need to build to further the game's main plot. For now though, Engineer Barrington H has just been freed up, so let's assign him here immediately. This cuts the project time of all Proving Ground projects in half, and also means that the Skulljack now takes 10 instead of 20 days to complete. You can also see here a list of other projects that we could start at this point. Unfortunately, the facility can only focus on one project at a time, so let's get the Skulljack out of the way first.
I'll have the team get started immediately, Commander. I'll let you know as soon as we've made progress.
If you're wondering, by the way, why the project is still displayed here on the left, yes, we can manufacture multiple Skulljacks. For the time being, though, I think the one here should suffice. And so, let's keep scanning. Up next, we hopefully have the completion of our next covert action, and I'd like to discuss what to do next afterwards.
Against the Elders, we find nothing but success.
And there we are, our covert action has been completed, thankfully without injuries. Van Dyke's hacking skill has been improved by 5 points, and we are one step closer to finally eliminating the Hunter.
We've just got some new intel on the Chosen. It should be easier to hunt them down now.
As you can see, we have also increased our influence with the skirmishers, and as a result, we will now be able to select one additional resistance order at the beginning of the next month.
The skirmishers respect your ways, Commander. Your people fight with honor.
And there we have it, part 3 of the Hunt the Hunter quest line is now available, as well as the new resistance order, Double Agent.
We are ready for more orders, Commander. We only await your choice.
Now, Double Agent is actually pretty interesting. On each mission this order is active, it gives us a 33% chance of an Advent soldier joining our side, effectively giving us a 7th unit and all the bonuses to the action economy that come with it. Now, unfortunately, the unit type is limited to Trooper or Stun Lancer, so in terms of actual combat abilities, they are not particularly useful and have a tendency to get themselves killed. Still, this might be worth considering as soon as the next month rolls around. Now, at this point, we have to select our next covert action, and as always, I would like to hear what you think.
Our influence with the Resistance factions has motivated them to share some new information on the Chosen.
Now, you can see here we have a grand total of 12 covert actions to choose from, although we currently do not have the necessary personnel for the 2 Hunt the Chosen ones. That still leaves us with 10, and of those 10, I think there are a few particularly interesting ones that deserve a mention. The first one might be a bit niche, it is at the bottom of the list here, a guaranteed research breakthrough for improved pistols. The reason why this is interesting is that a 1-point damage increase on all pistols is disproportionately powerful. A good gunslinger build can fire the pistol multiple times per turn, so more often than not, this directly translates into a several-point damage increase. On the more strategic side, meanwhile, we could also gather some intel, not because we need it, but because we get a promotion for it, and the further we progress through the ranks, the harder those promotions are to get, not to mention that using this on one of our captains would also immediately boost them up to Major, and thus fulfilling the requirements for the 2 Hunt the Chosen missions. Finally then, we could also grab ourselves another resistance contact. This would then give us another option to reduce Avatar project progress, and if we're lucky, we might even be able to grab enough contacts this way so that we don't have to build a second resistance comms facility. So those 3 are in my opinion the best possible options at the moment, so let me know which one you would like us to go with, and maybe you even prefer one of the other ones. Either way, let me know in the comments down below. And with that, I think we have reached a good point to wrap up today's episode, so as always, if you enjoyed it, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.